You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to the middle of the week. This is hump day. You're halfway to the weekend. We got a camel wants to talk to you. Hit it, man.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Whoop, whoop. Yes, indeed it is. Congratulations. You are halfway to the weekend, and we're going to take you all the way there. It is hump day, and pushing the magic buttons over there, Big Rig on the board. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good.
Good? Just hitting them buttons?
Oh, yeah.
Camel
Coffee
wanted to talk.
time.
And coffee.
Coffee. Cappuccino.
Oh, my gosh.
I got to have my coffee.
I'm saying, man, it's the official drink of Rightside Radio, you know. I mean, I got my cup sitting right here, getting cold as I talk, but nonetheless, we're going to make it. All right, listen, we got a great show lined up for you. It's 4 o'clock today is going to be that thing we do on Wednesdays also, the Grand Council with Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson, both coming in. Three guys that all do conservative talk radio. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. We opine back and forth on different issues and just see where the chips fall. But the Grand Council, 4 o'clock today, stand by for that. And then I got a triple dipper full of stuff, man, so hit it.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. So first one out the gate, bordering on insanity. That's what I'm calling it. The southern border, y'all. I mean, so Biden issued an executive order yesterday. We're going to talk about it. I'll tell you what, though, the whole thing it borders on insanity. You look at it and go, were they intentionally doing all this? And I think the answer is yes. I don't know how they could possibly not intentionally be allowing so much to happen that is impacting every facet of our nation. So I'm going to call number 1, bordering on insanity. That's number 1 on the Triple Dipper. Number 2, you know, the border stuff could fall into this category, but there were enough other pieces that I decided to go ahead and expand out. Yeah, we're going to have a whole round of jackassery. Oh, you know the deal. Jackassery, those decisions made by people in authority, usually in government, that you look at and go, well, that's the most jackassery thing I've ever seen. Well, we're going to talk about quite a few examples. I've got a buffet of jackassery for you coming up as number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, you know, you look at things, you think, okay, how'd you make that political? And sometimes you look at things and go, I don't know how in the world you could make that political. But apparently, birth control is now political. I mean, come on. But yes, so I'm calling this birth control politics because Chuck Schumer's got something coming to the floor of the U.S. Senate that is surely the most important thing that could possibly happen. You need this. It is the government making sure that you have birth control opportunities. Okay, we're going to talk about that, number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, well, let me jump on into the Right Side Way monologue, and I just, as I do every day, I'll open up with some thoughts, some ruminations, but let me start today, though, with a warning. Listen close. I'm warning you. Be very careful. I mean, like, be very, very careful, because life is hard, and decisions are scary, but don't worry, the government is here to protect you from yourself. At least that's what far too many in government actually believe. Ronald Reagan once famously said that the scariest words you could ever hear were, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Listen, there is a role for government. I've said it before. I'm not so libertarian in my leanings or anarchist in my antipathy toward government that I don't see the need for good governance. Constitutional governance is designed to ensure life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by providing for the common defense, supporting the general welfare, and ensuring domestic tranquility. It's called essential services of government. Things like police and fire, military, infrastructure, sewage and water, all of that, waste disposal, every bit of it. All of that is essential. But where we get into trouble is when government has so much time and money on its hands that it feels it necessary to find new ways to justify its existence. And there are some nanny state knuckleheads in government, and they don't know when to stop. There's a story out today that we're going to talk about in more detail later, but apparently Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is now pushing for a vote that no one called for on a topic that no one saw coming to fill a need that no one has. Schumer and his Democrat colleagues are apparently embarking on a classic round of political kabuki theater to pass a bill to enforce the right to contraceptive care. Let that sink in. Never mind the economy. Never mind the southern border, never mind the U.S. hostages being held in Gaza. The Democrats want to make sure that Americans know they can have birth control pills and condoms whenever they darn well want them. Because, maybe people don't know they can already have contraceptives whenever they want them. Like nobody's stopping you. Because life is scary without the government getting involved to solve problems you didn't know you had. So I have to ask, what did we do about contraception before the year 2024 when Democrats held their press conference and cast their votes? I'll tell you what we did. We took personal responsibility. But the nanny state does not thrive on your personal responsibility. No, no, no. The nanny state knuckleheads could lose their meaning, their focus, their mission, their jobs if you believed for a second that you could make decisions about your life without them intervening. Silly Americans. You don't know how to buy birth control stuff at the drugstore by yourself. But don't worry, we're from the government, and we're here to help. I remember when I was a young second lieutenant training to be an infantry officer at Fort Benning, the world's premier school for teaching infantry officers the craft of leading troops, to be the queen of battle. It was not uncommon to have foreign nationals training with us, teaching them the skills leading troops so that they may return home to their own countries, hopefully better equipped to do the same job. In my class, we had officers from places like Chad, Malawi, and others. And one of the guys from Chad, though, wow, not very inspiring. Not at all. One night in the field, we were training on patrol base activities, multiple platoons. And aside from all of the other patrol base activities, we also had to stand guard at night, right? It was mandatory for everybody, except for the dude from Chad, apparently. Somewhere around 0:30, one of the instructors was walking the perimeter and discovered that one platoon had nobody on guard duty. So throughout the entire patrol base in the dark of night, you could hear the rousting. You guessed it, the guy from Chad had blown off his guard duty. You could hear the shouting from all the other guys who had reached their breaking point with him. Where's Mugabe? Where is he? And then the moment came that we could all hear Mugabe's voice wailing in the night. You cannot do this to me. I'm a very important person in my country. Yeah, well, his platoon didn't see it that way. That guy from Chad, well, his real problem was not his skills. It was not know-how. It was his sense of entitlement. It was a sense that he was not in any way accountable, that he could act with impunity regardless of the consequences. And when there were consequences, there was no acceptance of his own role in creating the problem itself. And that, my friends, is a micro example of the people who run the nanny state. The nanny state knuckleheads are like that guy who believes that he can sleep through guard duty and then wake up and work with impunity, never having any responsibility, and can do as much or as little as he wants. That sense by elected officials and bureaucrats that they can operate with that level of impunity because in their own estimation they are very important, that consequences are not for them, the consequences are just for those silly constituents who don't know how important these government actions are. Bunch of nanny state knuckleheads. I mean, it is that same nanny state attitude that causes government to exceed its authority at local, state, and federal levels. Sometimes even laughably. Remember Mayor Bloomberg in 2012? Banned large sodas in the restaurants. Well, that'll fix obesity. How about the town of Fort Lee, New Jersey? Has a no texting and walking law. $85 fine. I get it. But is that really the government's role? A few years ago, the state of Tennessee passed a no saggy pants law. Really? No saggy pants. With penalties and everything. What, did they make exceptions for plumbers? I don't know. Minnetonka, Minnesota apparently got tired of cleaning the streets, so they passed an ordinance that banned muddy vehicles with fines up to $2,000. Muddy vehicles. My gosh. Well, what about, Maryland? Statewide ordinances in effect requiring the use of sunscreen at summer camps for kids because, sunburn prevention, that's a surefire role of government. How about San Francisco? They grinched out in 2011, passed a ban on the toys in McDonald's Happy Meals. Can't have them. Unless, of course, they meet strict nutritional guidelines with fruits and vegetables. There's a Happy Meal. Hilton Head, South Carolina apparently had an issue with rats. Well, go figure. They passed an ordinance that banned trash in people's cars. $500 fine or 30 days in jail. Come on. California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was in office, he was a Republican. He went full-on Terminator. He signed a law banning the use of trans fats to fry foods in the state. Yep, you heard me. Fried food had to be made healthier. In the end, it was still fried. And then one of my favorites also came from California. When they passed a law that the hotel industry had to use fitted sheets on the bottom layer of a bed because it was going to save back injuries from doing all those hospital corners. Really? Oh yeah, they also required long-handled tools for bathroom cleaning to prevent back injuries. But have they ever tried to put on a fitted sheet? Because that's work. I got news. Look, these are real, all right? Those are somewhat humorous, but they're also examples of knuckleheads who get into office and forget their role. Government should provide essential services. Government should not become the nanny state. Babysitting your every move like a helicopter mom at a PTA bake sale, that is not the role of government. Government that gets so far into your personal business that it creates additional issues and then blames you for the problems they create, all while ostensibly taking such great action for the great good, that's a nanny state. A nanny state run by knuckleheads. It is un-American insofar as our rights and freedoms are concerned. So when you see it, tell them you don't need a nanny, thank you very much. You've got this covered. Nanny state knuckleheads, please say hello to the Right Side ruffians. We got this. And that's a wrap for the Right Side Way. Yep, life is hard. It's a good thing the government is there to rescue us from ourselves. I mean, goodness knows, Chuck Schumer's got nothing else more important to do than to make sure that you can still buy condoms because apparently they're hard to get. I don't know. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just, I mean, like saving the world one soundbite at a time. Hey, we are, by the way, on the eve of the Day of Days. So tomorrow is the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Actually, technically tonight, there were paratroopers about to jump in. In fact, I believe that the actual first entry into the invasion were a group of Pathfinders from the 1st of the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment. And they were preparing, as we speak right now, they were preparing for their jump because they went in first to light some of the drop zones. And of course, it was if you were a paratrooper, it was just chaos. They had any number of people that were just dropped all over God's half acre. And the reality is they still made it. They still pulled it off. Just Day of Days, 80 years, starting tonight, 80 years since the D-Day invasion. And I suspect I'll go ahead and predict right now that we will talk about this tomorrow. So stand by for that. Tomorrow being June 6th, 1944. Here we are in 2024, 80 years later. All right, got about a bunch of text messages already. Text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. So, yeah, tell me what you think about big government, about nanny state knuckleheads who come in there and believe that, they got to do everything from making sure that the size of your soda is correct and make sure you have paper straws. And then, also make sure, by the way, that you don't use the wrong kind of oil when you fry those foods. And, oh, by the way, we're going to make sure you have birth control because we need to make sure you have birth control. By the way, what's irony here, deep irony, is that Chuck Schumer actually went to the podium. I ought to find this clip, but he went to the podium and said that one of the reasons why we need to grant amnesty to the 11 million illegals who are here right now, he said it, is because we're not reproducing at a high enough rate to sustain our country's efforts. Okay. But yet the biggest fight for him is on abortion and birth control. Reproduce more, but yet fight for abortion/birth control. It's a fallacious argument, all right? It is both salacious and fallacious all at the same time. There's some new Scrabble words. Dwayne from Hartselle says birth control is already free to everyone. It's called abstinence. There is that. John from Brownsboro says, legal question, did they screw up by having the FBI submit the laptop as credible? I don't know. I mean, you're asking me something that's off topic, John, but the reality is I'm still kind of ticked over the fact that the FBI didn't intervene back when all the, denials were there that the laptop was real, during the Trump campaign and all that in 2020. Just stop it. This thing's not real. It reeks of Russia collusion. Oh, by the way, we're going to enter this into evidence in the Hunter Biden trial and certify that it's legitimate. So have they screwed up? I don't think so. John from Huntsville. Phil, fantastic monologue, and I guess in those places where they don't allow muddy vehicles, they also don't allow off-road truck races. At least not on the roads. But then again, you're asking about off-road truck races. So, Marshall from Dubai says, oh yeah, I remember when Governor Arnold out in California banned trans fats. Now they're overrun by fat trannies. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. He says, make it stop, Phil. Make it stop. Wow. Okay, that's a classic example of me reading the text before I realized I was reading the text. Thank you, Marshall. Frank from Huntsville says, I can see it. If you don't work or on a lower income, you get contraceptives for free. They'll hire hundreds of people to drive this program, maybe give out cards. They have to be manufactured. He says the contraceptive companies will triple their prices because they're selling to the government. No doubt, man. Thomas from Athens says, in nanny state, California protects addicts from themselves by making needles available and even giving free drugs as legal. Plus, protect themselves from going to jail by not arresting them for shoplifting under $1,000 per store visit. Oh, by the way, don't forget the fact that San Francisco gives alcohol to homeless alcoholics. It's kind of a big deal. Got a kegger going in the hotel lobby for homeless alcoholics. But they're going to make sure, by the way, that, you understand you got to use a paper straw. Okay. Bruce from Hazel Green says maybe some of the parents that have their children in Congress this time should use, I think he means abstinence or protection, so he wouldn't have a bunch of idiots up there. Now, Bruce, I wouldn't go that far. Here's the bottom line. What did we do before the year 2024 for contraception? You know, it's like I said before, we used personal responsibility. I cannot imagine a more invasive level of government interference than to say, well, we need to make sure you have condoms available to you. And so we're going to just do it. And government's going to take care of it and mandate it under what? Penalty of law? What are we doing here? All right, coming up next, we're going to jump on in, bordering on insanity. Oh, my goodness. It is. We'll be right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. This one right here, Alabama. Y'all, I'm talking about this show goes like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. Hey, by the way, I got to remind you guys, too, if you hear those ads playing during the break, Rightside Radio is a standalone entity. We are a business unto ourselves, and part of the way we sustain our operations is through advertising. So if you hear those ads, think about this. If you're a Rightside ruffian and you have goods or services from your own business you'd like to sell, well, we got an entire audience made up of tens of thousands of ruffians who may rather buy from you than somebody else. So all I'm saying is this: if you want to advertise on Rightside Radio, we have a captive audience, and you may want to get on board. So all you got to do, you don't contact the station, you contact us directly. Go to our website, rightsideradio.org. That's rightsideradio.org. You can click on the advertising and contact tab. Send us a message, and Lauren from Rightside will be on that like white on rice, man. She will give you all the information you need. So, yeah, you want to advertise on Rightside Radio, go to rightsideradio.org. A couple more text messages. I think this one relates to my dipper I'm about to do. Russell from Rural Route 1. There's my hardest, I have the hardest time saying that. Russell from Rural Route 1. My gosh, Russell, is that where you have to live? Anyway, he says, you need to get the Bill Malugin Fox News report on the Biden executive order on the border. I don't have the clip, brother, but I saw it. And I think you're talking about the one where he stood there talking to whole groups of illegals coming across, asking them where they're from, and it was all over the world. I remember seeing Mauritania, China, I think there was like India, Venezuela. It was nuts. David from Athens says, David from Bucky's here. He says, Phil, I guess you know by now that California's in the process of banning all plastic bags at retail outlets. They found out that just banning single-use bags wasn't enough. Oh, good. California lawmakers vote to ban reusable plastic bags at grocery stores. Well, that's going to go swimmingly. Wonder how much it costs to make the bags that people have to buy to then bring back with them to the store. And then lastly, Jerry from Decatur says, what if Roe v. Wade had never happened? Would this nation still be looking for 55 million plus warm bodies from who knows where to cover their evil mistakes? There would be no employment problems. We would also not have to answer to God for why we allowed it to continue the way it did. All right, let me jump on in here. Bordering on insanity. That's where I am right now. Bordering on insanity. This dipper is about the southern border. And y'all, every time I think I've seen it all, good gosh, here we go again. So if you did not hear, there was a executive order signed by the president yesterday. I think this is his 95th executive order. 95th. But if you remember, think back. When he took office, he went straight to the Oval Office. He sat down, and there was a stack of leather binders and him with a whole bunch of pens, and he began signing executive orders, just having a big old time, man, just signing those orders. Give me another one. What you got? I'll sign that. What's it say? I don't care. Sign it. Just signing executive orders like there was no tomorrow. Like if every signature was worth a nickel, the man's rich. There's that. But anyway, the bottom line is this. He signed a new executive order yesterday. Pray tell, Phil, what could it be? Well, you know what my dipper is. I'm talking about, bordering on insanity. President Biden has just taken it upon himself to enter an executive order about the southern border. You mean he just figured out he could do this, or what's the deal? Anyway, theblaze.com has the first piece that I'll bring to your attention. The Biden administration issued a set of executive actions that would temporarily suspend entry for non-citizens. And the bottom line is this. It's really a highly ineffective executive order. See if you can decipher this with me. If the average number of border encounters exceeds 2,500 in a 7-day period, entry to non-citizens would be suspended until 14 days after a 7-day average of 1,500 border encounters. Okay, what? According to Fox News, by the way, he's already exceeded that. So basically, if they're at 2,500 a day for 7 straight days, he's going to tighten things up at the border. He's not going to close the border. He's not going to immediately deport people. He's just going to, take a few more steps. Okay. But according to Fox News, in the 24 hours before he signed it, the border was seeing 5,200 a day. It's averaging 5,000 a day for over a week. Okay. The 30-day average for April was 5,990 encounters per day. Okay. So, all right, great. That means he's immediately going to go do something about all these people crossing the border. But let's run the numbers on this, shall we? Gosh, I hate it when facts get in the way of a good story, don't you? So 2,500 a day is a threshold, right? All right, so what if they just make like 2,499? 2,499. That's it. Never quite making the 2,500 cutoff. Whew, that was close. 2,499 daily encounters. That means that he's allowing in 912,000 right up front. His order contemplates the idea that potentially they could look the other way on 912,000 encounters at the border, which would still be higher than any year under President Trump. Jeez. But, hang on, there's more. The Biden administration order does not apply to visa holders, okay, unaccompanied children, those with a medical emergency or imminent threat to their life, or victims of a severe form of trafficking. Okay, so there's a whole group of people out there, or groups of people to whom this will not apply. So if you had 2,500 a day, but 132 of those were unaccompanied minors, it doesn't count yet. We're not there. Oh, okay. It also, by the way, does not apply to those who use the Biden app. What's that? Yes, don't you remember? Customs and Border Patrol now has an app. You can be down in Venezuela. You can be walking your way up through the coastal regions of Mexico. You can be passing through Cozumel and working your way north to the border, and you can just get on the app and apply for asylum, and it will send you back an appointment date, and you get to come on in. Those people don't count. By the way, up to 1,500 people a day are apparently using that app. Oh, hang on. So 912,000 are potentially okay. Another 1,500 a day is going to equal, okay, we're at 1.2 million people. So 1.2 million is still potentially acceptable. No, it's not. This is insane, y'all. Who does this? Who does this and then steps back and goes, look what I did. Don't you see the neat thing I did? Well, I got news. It ain't going to work. By the way, just so you know, 217,000 border encounters per month on average so far this year during the Biden administration. 217,000 plus. You were seeing 70 to 80,000 tops during the peak of the issue during the Trump administration. 1/3. Now, the interesting thing is Biden's losing the fight even with the liberal mainstream media. CNN had a reporter at the border. I'm going to use clip number 2 there, bud. CNN had a presentation yesterday of where people stand on this, because think about this. Why would he do it now? What exactly is happening? Because here's the quote. I'll read you this from Fox. The quote that President Biden issued along with this ridiculous executive order is, "Today I'm moving past Republican obstruction." Really? And using executive authorities available to me as president to do what I... You know what? I'm reading far too affirmatively. Let me change that to Biden voice. Today I'm moving past Republican obstruction. Yeah, okay, you get the point. Using executive authorities available to me as president. What, just now? They just became available? Or did you just figure it out? Which one is it? Did you just now, somebody said, hey, sir, I think you can do this. Well, we know you already knew that because you're the one who signed away what Trump was already doing. Sir, you're the one who signed the executive order that did away with the policies that you're now sort of leaning back into. You knew you could do this. They're available to me as president. Well, they didn't just become available. You just chose not to use them for 3.5 freaking years. That's where we are. He says to me as president to do what I can on my own to address the border because I'm the man. Well, he didn't say that part. I said that for him. But even still, a reporter actually, you know what? I tell you what, Big Rig, let's do this. I want to play that full audio clip, that clip 2. It's the one with the pundits on CNN. But why don't we take a break first? Go ahead and steer us towards the break. We'll come back. That way we can do that thing unabated without having to worry about the break. So go ahead and move us to the break there, my brother. We'll do that. We'll take the break. We'll come right back. Oh, yeah. Bordering on insanity. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower, giving you all the truth you can put on bumper stickers. So I'm in number one of the Triple Dipper, bordering on insanity. That's where we are right now with the situation at the southern border. It's insane. Y'all, there's no need to mince words. It's absolutely insane what the Biden administration has allowed to happen, and now they show up. They come swooping in with this executive order like he just figured out, oh yeah, I lost my pen for 3.5 years, but I'm back now. I can sign that. And it makes no sense. And you look at it like, by the way, Randy from Madison, brand new in the text line, texted in, and he gave me the same math that I had a moment ago. 2,500 illegals a day is close to 1 million a year. He says that's Alabama math. Well, you're still right, though, brother. You're still right. Alabama math still works, man. Thank you for being in the show, by the way. So it's gotten a lot of attention. Republicans and Democrats have issues with this. Republicans are calling it a stunt because think about this, y'all. Why did he do it now? Maybe it's because he's behind in the polls and just a few weeks from now, he is doing his first debate with Trump. And he knows for a fact he's got to have something to talk about. And it may be a nothing burger on the big menu of life, but the reality is at least he's got something to talk about now. I took executive action. Yeah, you did. You took executive action on day one when you rescinded all of Trump's policies. All right, but election year stunts. I think he's also seen the numbers, not the numbers at the border. I think he's seen the numbers in the polls. You got that clip now, man? Let's do that CNN clip, and I may call you to stop it here and there and talk about it. Go ahead and hit it.
Help him with his reelection chances. And how does that play? CNN's Harry Enton has been looking at the numbers. How important, remind folks how important this issue is for voters.
It's tremendously important. What a difference from where we were 4 years ago at this point. So immigration is the nation's top problem. Back in May of 2020, it was just 1% of voters who said that. It ranked 15th on the list of most important problems in the United States. Look at where we are today, May of 2024, the last poll conducted by Gallup. It's up to 18%, so that's 18 times as high. And more than that, it ranks as the second most important problem. So we've gone from 15th to second. So to me, it's not a huge surprise that President...
Stop right there a second. So what we're seeing, first of all, is this poll running 4 years ago and running again now, polling the same issue, says that immigration, apparently 4 years ago, was like the 15th most important issue in the overall, and now it's number 2. It has gone up exponentially. Don't tell me the Biden election team isn't seeing that and panicking. Play it some more.
Biden is doing what he's doing because the fact is immigration is at the top of the mind for the American voter.
And sometimes my next question depends on how the question is asked, but who do people trust? Who do voters trust more on this issue?
Yeah, no matter how you phrase it, you will see that more voters today trust former President Trump over President Biden, but the margins can change depending on how it is. So this is a better job on border security and immigration, which tends to be one of former President Trump's best questions. But I think the key thing here, Kate, to look at is the timeline and look at the trend line here. Because back in June of 2020, Biden was actually trusted more on the question of border security and immigration by a single point. Look at where we are in May of 2024. My goodness gracious. Look at this huge jump that Donald Trump has gotten. He is now ahead on this issue by 27 percentage points. So it's not just that immigration is more at the top of voters' minds than it was 4 years ago. It's that who they trust on the issue has changed tremendously. I look at a lot of questions.
Stop there. How much more of that clip is left? Do we have some more? Yeah, okay. So let me just recap that real quick. Biden sees these numbers too. If this poll is to be believed, and I know you take some polls with a grain of salt, but this is interesting because keep in mind, this is also CNN. Phil, it's CNN. Do we trust them? It's CNN turning on their own guy. That makes this even more interesting. They're not holding back. They're saying not only is this one of the most important issues in the minds of Americans now, it's got an 18-point jump from 4 years ago, but how about this? 4 years ago, they say the same poll showed Biden at a +1 in terms of who people trusted more. This year, 4 years later, Biden went from being a +1 to Trump being a +18. Y'all, that's a massive shift. That's an electorate shift right there. That's a plus what?
27.
27?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it says on the screen here.
Play some more of that. I think you're in the next category. But go ahead and play some more.
Questions. I dig into the crosstabs a lot. The fact that you see a 30-point shift, I'm used to seeing 10, 15, maybe 20-point shifts, but basically a 30-point shift, 28 points if you want to be exact, that is very, very different from a lot of other polling questions.
And this issue, probably more than any other, this is where Donald Trump's rhetoric is most extreme and most harsh. And that goes for many Republicans with regard to border security and immigration. How do immigrant communities react to this? Is there any sign that there's backlash?
Pause it. This is key. This is key. She tried to rescue there for a moment. Well, this is where Trump's the most extreme. So how does the immigrant community, the non-Americans who live among us, non-citizens who live among us, how do they feel about that? Because this is where Trump is the most extreme. Keep playing.
Flash to this?
Yeah, it's very interesting to me because I think a lot of Democrats are saying, oh, look at, Donald Trump, look at what we call anti-immigration rhetoric. There's going to be some backlash. I'm not quite sure that's exactly right. And I've been keeping a track on this. So this is who U.S. voters born outside of the country, so people who might be born in France, people who might be born in Mexico, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Who do they prefer for president? Well, this is quite something. It's a number that always seems to surprise me no matter how often I look at it. In fact, they slightly more of them support Donald Trump at 47% than Joe Biden at 44%. No. Again, this is a change from where we were in 2020 because those voters who were born outside the United States prefer Joe Biden. But in this case, no sign of a backlash.
Okay, stop. That's enough of that clip. That's enough of that. But that is fascinating. Maybe some of y'all are going, Phil, I don't really care. I do. I find this fascinating. So here's the deal. People who can't vote, you wonder, why do we care what they think? Well, because it gives us a flavor for the day that we can just sort of sink our teeth into. You know what I'm saying? Because look at this. There's all this talk about you're cruel. You don't care about the people who come to our country that need help. And yet the people who are here that are polled are saying that they support Trump more than Biden. Why do you think that is? Because they can see chaos. That's why. They didn't come here for chaos. They didn't come here. They came here for a better life. Now, they may not have come here legally, and we might wish they weren't here. But the fact is, generally speaking, they either came here to commit crimes or they came here for a better life. And the ones who came here to commit crimes are probably not the ones answering surveys. So the ones who answer surveys that came here for a better life are finding themselves trusting Trump more. Why? Because they didn't come here to live among chaos. And we are bordering on insanity right now. Listen, we're gonna come right back. I got more of this. This is I'm gonna dig in. Y'all are getting a deep dive today. Bordering on insanity. Listen, you're gonna be so equipped for these water cooler conversations and folks who ask you what your thoughts are on the southern border. I got you squared away. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 2. We're still in dipper number 1. I'm calling it bordering on insanity. That's where we are. Our southern border is bordering on insanity. Now listen, you look at, okay, so President Biden, he realized yesterday he could do an executive order. Wait a minute. Who's got the pen? I got to do this. It's very important, you understand, because it made all the more so because it took him 3.5 years to figure it out. But what we're watching right now is Biden is quick to call everything he does a whole of government approach. Well, that's probably a pretty accurate description, because we're finding that the issues that he creates with his lack of border policy, or with his negligence at the border policy, the insanity at the border policy, we're finding that it's working its way into the systems everywhere. Like this, for instance, our Alabama Secretary of State, Wes Allen, issued a press release today. I happened to see it right before I went on the air, and I went ahead and got it ready for me to use. Secretary of State Wes Allen is exposing federal policies that provide voter registration forms to non-citizens. Okay, hello. Let's think about this. Don't want to close down the border too quick because, we got to get like voter registration forms in the hands of illegals. What? You heard me. Secretary of State Wes Allen, who's been on the show many times, he says, we have received complaints from concerned Alabama voters who received voter registration forms in the mail addressed to a deceased relative, and those voter registration mailings are not coming from my office. They are coming from state agencies. What? Who's doing this? He's just saying state agencies. Now, later in the article, I think he gives away who it was. He says, current federal policies mandate that anyone who comes into contact with certain state agencies be provided with voter registration information. This policy mandates that non-citizens receive information regarding registering to vote in Alabama and registration forms required to register to vote. The purpose of the federal Voters' Rights Act, as it was originally passed, was never to provide voter registration forms to non-citizens. Later in the press release, he actually says Biden's attempt to take advantage of the crisis he created at the border by tying the hands of agencies such as Medicaid and forcing them to enact his scheme is disgraceful. What I think he just actually gave away there in the later part of this press release is that Medicaid, which has federal dollars that help supplement the system, the federal match they call it, that Medicaid is apparently receiving directives from D.C. that anyone you come in contact with has to be given voter registration information. Well, they come in contact with a lot of non-citizens, and they're required then to give them voter registration information. Tell me that wasn't thought out. Tell me that wasn't something they didn't know was going to happen. But the executive order, is it effective? Is it going to do anything good at all? Is it better? Is it like one of those better than nothing kind of things? I don't think so. In fact, Border Patrol agents are already speaking out. Story here on the New York Post. Border Patrol agents believe that President Joe Biden's last-minute executive order to limit border crossings is way too little too late. He's already allowed millions to enter the U.S. illegally without consequence. This is off the New York Post. They interviewed apparently 5, and they remained anonymous, so I take some of those things with a grain of salt, but I suspect it's probably true. They didn't want to lose their jobs. So 5 border agents told the Post that the president's inaction for 3.5 years has already resulted in irreparable damage to the country's national security. And they feel like the latest measure is just all for show. One of the guys says, it's like trying to plug the leak on the Titanic with chewing gum. It's way too little too late. He's trying to act tough on the border, but we know he's been the most open border administration ever. That's a Border Patrol agent, allegedly. Another one says, what a joke. Like that's going to stop him. He can act whatever he wants. Until we deport everyone that crosses or imprison them, it won't stop. Border Patrol agent. Until we deport them or imprison them. They know. They work it every day. Another one said, way too little too late, nothing more than virtue signaling. And a fourth one said, this is comical. Millions are in the U.S. now, and it's just now they realize the number of crossings every day is a problem. The damage is done. Now the administration wants to slowly close the valve on the floodgates. Well, I got an audio clip for you. Big Ray, I'm going to use that other audio clip of the guy standing there by the border. So CNN, I believe it's CNN again. Is it CNN? Can you see it? I think it was CNN.
NBC.
NBC, thank you. NBC had a reporter at the border who was giving his opinions on whether something was going to be effective regarding the executive order. Listen to what he had to say. Go ahead.
Based on the details of this executive order and how it actually functions that we've learned so far today, I actually have to say I'm quite skeptical that this is going to have any kind of immediate, widespread, dramatic impact on the border, on the number of migrants who are crossing the border, and on the number of migrants who manage to stay in the United States as a result. And there's a few complicated reasons for that. But the main one is that I and a lot of other people were expecting that this authority to, quote unquote, close down the border was going to be dependent on the United States being able to summarily expel migrants with no due process, no access to the asylum system, immediately back into Mexico shortly after they cross. That does not appear to be the case, mainly because Mexico has not agreed to accept any more migrants than it already.
Our border security should not be contingent upon another country's willingness to participate. Just stop them from coming in. I know I'm oversimplifying. Phil, it's a little more difficult than that. I get it, but look what Texas has done. Do you know, and I've got it in my stack here if I can get to it. The reality is this. Texas has made a massive dent in the flow of illegals. And they've all shifted to like Arizona and California. You're still seeing them come into Texas, but not near the record numbers we saw before. Why? Because they actually put up border security measures. I don't care what Mexico wants to do about deportations. We'll figure that out later when Trump takes office because you know Biden's not going to do it. But for the time being, get this. Apparently, walls and barriers actually work. Play it again.
He does. Mexico has pretty strict, specific requirements on the number of migrants that it accepts and on the nationality of migrants that it accepts. And the U.S. cannot simply return people to Mexico without Mexico's active participation.
Okay. So Mexico has to actively participate. I mean, I guess I get that. On the one hand, we got to land the plane somewhere, right? We're not going to kick them out over the Gulf and say swim ashore. But here's the bottom line. We have got Mexico allowing them across. We have Mexican cartels trafficking them across. We have Mexican cartels digging tunnels and floating rafts and actually shooting at our own security from the far side of the far banks. How about this? Mexico, we don't care a rat squat for whether you want us to fly them back to you or not. How about in the meantime, stop being a lawless, failed state and maybe police your own side of the border? And oh, by the way, we're going to bring them back to you. Here's an idea. Let's just go ahead and establish a beachhead and start just bringing them back in and dropping them off. It's not going to happen, but you know what I'm saying. We are at that point. If this is going to be the largest deportation in world history, as Trump promised, and I hope it is, if it's going to be the largest deportation in world history, Mexico is going to have to get on board because some of these folks are coming back home to them. And then, here's the thing. There's a way to strangle them. Do you know how much money flows back to Mexico? Did you know that one of the largest driving forces of revenue to their economy is money wired back from America? Literally, wired back from America. You can go and look in whether it be Western Union or any one of the, and I've forgotten the name of it, I'll look it up in a minute, but wiring money back to Mexico is a driving force in their economy. If you want to shut off the tap on the ability to wire money back so that people who come here to work and then send their money back home, listen, I got news. You're going to wind up making a dent. They're going to come around real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll take care of that. How many do you want to take back this month? Well, what do you got? That's where we are. All right, we're going to take a break right now. We'll come back to this break and we'll wrap up this topic. I got a bunch of text messages. We'll try to get to some of them. My word, this is a hot topic. Bordering on insanity. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Listen, something came up a moment ago during the last portion of this segment we're in. We're doing number one, triple dipper, bordering on insanity. I made mention of the fact that there are ways to put a stranglehold on Mexico. I mean, certainly there are. You can make them feel the pain of their recalcitrance. It just takes a little political will to do it. How about this? I mentioned a minute ago that I remembered reading, and I've had it on the show before, but it's been quite some time. I remembered reading that remittances, which is what they call them, money sent home, basically. They call them remittances. Money sent from out of the country to accounts in Mexico. Last year, story from San Diego's, was it Fox 5 in San Diego? Last year alone, more than $63 billion were sent to Mexico in remittances, of which 96% came from the United States. Good Lord. $63 billion, that's 96%. So you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $55 billion or more from the United States. The vast majority of that is just folks who come here to work sending money home. And I get it. That's how they're feeding the family back home, right? It's got to send home to take care of grandma and mamacita and all the whole family. I get it. You're taking care of folks. And they're here and they're hard working. Some of them are complete slugs, but some are here hard working. But you strangle the ability to send that money home or tax it. I'm just saying. And here's the deal, Mexico. We're going to start deporting big time, and you're going to receive them. And you're going to help us get them back to their home countries. You know why? Because they had to pass through you to get to us. So, hey, Mexico, here's the deal. You better freaking set up a reception camp. You better get your border under control. Oh, by the way, you apparently have $55+ billion a year that floods into your economy, and we're about to choke the crap out of it. I like it. It makes me happy to think of it. And I don't know why it hadn't been done yet. I'm beginning to question whether or not certain states could do this on their own. I don't know if they can, because there's such a thing as called a burden upon interstate commerce. You can't just choke off something in one state that impacts the ability of other states to do business. So I imagine there's trickle-down effects. But what if the state of Texas, what if Alabama, what if Arizona said, you know what, there will be no wiring of money from our states? Guess where all the illegals would go? To the states where they could wire from. They just would. Or they would have to set up accounts like a Wells Fargo or something that has accounts, and you can access it anywhere. Online banking is going to make a lot of this easier. All I'm saying is this. A lot of the places where you go to actually wire money, like Western Union or Banxico or whatever, just say, there will be nothing from this state wired out from those sources. You'd slow some stuff down, let me tell you. All right, let me jump back on this and sort of wrap this thing up. I do want to point out, too, that one of the things that we're dealing with right now in this bordering on insanity situation is the crime. Phil, they're not all criminals, says the liberal. I understand, but the ones that are a real problem. Story from CNN. Phil, you went to CNN again? I did. Story from CNN, Dateline just yesterday. 2 New York City police officers shot by an undocumented migrant. There you go. It's like all the time now, isn't it? Bernardo Raul Castro Mata, a 19-year-old from Venezuela, who we're now finding was part of an organized crime syndicate or a gang of some type. A 19-year-old from Venezuela opened fire on 2 officers when they tried to stop him for riding a scooter in the wrong direction in Queens. Well, God bless him. They were trying to stop a guy from riding a scooter in the wrong direction, and they got shot at? What the come on. Riding a scooter in the wrong direction, and they get shot at. Or shot, actually. The officers were treated and released from the hospital the same day. Castro Mata entered the U.S. illegally through Eagle Pass, Texas in July. He was confirmed by CNN. He was released and ordered to report to immigration court, where his case was dismissed. Oh, that's right. I forgot. The Biden administration just dismissed like 350,000 of these immigration cases. Just summarily. You know why? Because they didn't fill out the paperwork correctly. And so, bureaucratic nightmare, now we got to just wipe out a whole bunch of them. You know what it really did? It changed their numbers. Now they can say the backlog is getting cleared. No, it's not. You just dismiss the cases en masse. And one of those guys just shot two of the NYPD's finest. Listen, so all said and done, I mean, I've got more stories here. I could go into, what the state of Arizona is finally getting sick of, and the people are putting something on the ballot. That's huge, because the state of Arizona has got a liberal governor, Katie Hobbs, for a governor, who is just no help whatsoever. In fact, when her state is suffering under massive, influx of illegals, her go-to is to call for the federal government to come help, knowing full well they won't. And then I've got a story here that I may still have to do after we get back from the break. But there are NGOs, aid groups, who are on the other side of the border, hiding behind the banner of their faith to help escort people to the United States. I'm pretty sure that Romans chapter 3, verse 8 comes into play somewhere in there, where it says that basically you cannot commit sin and then call it good. Well, I don't care if you're a Jewish, Catholic, or a Protestant Christian faith raking in millions of taxpayer dollars. All you're doing is creating a pipeline for illegal immigration across the Rio Grande and the Sonoran Desert. So listen, the Heritage Foundation has been doing a big report on this. I won't get to it right now in detail, but all these stories and more are on the Rightside Radio website. You can go to it. Go to the live stream page. There's a button that says resources. You click on resources, you'll find all the stories that I just rattled, and even the ones I didn't get to, linked right there for you. It's like your daily news sourcing that you can pull together from and get ready for the show or read thereafter. But folks, bordering on insanity, that is where we are. All right, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back from this break, I'm going to be jumping on a bit of jackassery. Holy smokes. Lord, we got a buffet of jackassery to go through. And then coming up top of the hour, don't forget Grand Council with Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Like covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. This one right here. I'm talking about Alabama, and I mean to say this show goes like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville and Tuscaloosa back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. Hey, and by the way, folks, let me just jump in here and pause for a second, and I want to give you guys something big to think about. All right, so this is a crazy world, and yet you're working hard to plan for your future, to stand up for your beliefs at the same time. But what if you found out that in the middle of doing all that some of your investments were actually going to things that are absolutely contrary to what you say you believe in? Well, maybe it's time for y'all to meet Paul Breyer and his team of PhDs and financial experts at Inspire Advisors. Inspire Advisors. I'm talking about financial planning that considers who you are and what you believe in. These are solid local experts using biblically responsible investing, data-driven strategies to maximize your returns, doing so in a way that has real impact on your bottom line and the world in which we live. Y'all, this is what I call financial freedom. So if you want to know more about what's in your own portfolio, I'm about to give you an opportunity to get something for free. If you want to know more about what's in your portfolio, go online and get a free impact report at www.moneypatternwealth.com. That's moneypatternwealth.com. That's Inspire Advisors at moneypatternwealth.com. You can also find their logo on the sponsors page at rightsideradio.org. Click on that sponsored logo and you'll hook them straight to their website. Yeah, conservative, godly, balanced financial freedom with Inspire Advisors at moneypatternwealth.com. All right, listen, I'm gonna take some text messages, and then do I have a phone call? Okay, I'll get that here in 1 second. David from Huntsville says it's off topic, but he says New York Attorney General Bragg says he did his job when he prosecuted Trump. Does this mean a turning point for the AG to start going after violent, hardened criminals in New York? I doubt it. Steve from Tennessee, that $55 billion to Mexico is only the legal money going that way. Many covert bucks. I agree with you, man. If we can find a way to get hold of it, just seize it. Badger from Athens says his executive order, Biden's executive order, only seems to deny asylum after so many per day. Doesn't stop. That's right. You're exactly right, sir. As I was saying earlier, if you just get below the threshold of what's allowed and stay there, it can still be 1.2 million people. That's 90. I think it's 930,000 just on the numbers allowed, and then you've also got all the ones who use the app are okay. They can come on too, and we're seeing like 1,500 a day on those. So we're looking at 1.2 million plus. Ruminating Rocker from Flint Creek. I love that name. The Ruminating Rocker from Flint Creek says, since the Dems are counting on the non-voters voting, that poll is a very big deal to them. Yeah, it really is. And then Robert from Ardmore says, at $1 million a year, that's the entire country of Honduras in a decade. Wow. Let me jump on the phone. Is that Jeff Rowe? Jeff from Indiana. How you doing, buddy?
Not good.
Not good. Why?
Yeah. Well, a 2-hour wait yesterday on a trailer tire, and now today I'm going to be here over 2 hours waiting for a trailer to come out of Birmingham.
Well, brother, somebody, who do you need me to roust for you? You need me to roust somebody? You need me to call them out? I'll call them out right now on the air.
Instead of fire under,
never mind.
Somebody. They just burn up, I think.
So what do you think about it? I tell you what, what's your idea about how we do something about the money being wired back to Mexico? What do you think about that?
Well, I guess you would have to have all foreigners, unless, there's got to be some way of doing it that you can have to show that this money the taxes have been paid on the money before you can wire it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. Well, we got so many thousands and thousands of IRS agents now. I mean, what are they doing?
They're coming after you and me. That's what they're doing.
Oh, that's right. Our money's legal, isn't it?
That's right. That's exactly right. The whole thing's it's insane though. And I look at this and I said on the show before, when Biden first started signing his executive orders and changing Trump's policies, I thought, okay, policy difference. Then it got really bad, and he didn't make a change. I finally came to the point that I believed it's all intentional. Every bit of what we're looking at is an intentional effort to open the border.
Oh, yeah. a blind man could see that from day one. The way they just, what else would you rescind all of Trump's things for that was working if you wasn't going to do this intentionally?
Yeah.
I mean, that's But the thing about it is, I'm not worried how many's coming in, going out, or whatever. That's going to happen anyway. I'm wondering how, when Trump gets back in here, how are we going to get him out? Would you have to, because the courts are going to fight you tooth and nail on all this stuff. I think that, unless you come in the right way or come across a legal point of entry and everything, anybody who come in illegally has to go back, period. I mean, whether you got to send them out to an island in the ocean and people won't take them back or whatever, but they can't stay here.
Well, you're just being mean now. Now you're just being mean. I mean, you got to at least allow 2,500 of them for 7 days in a row before you get down to that point, man. That's the way it works. Don't you understand?
Well, sometimes you got the big stick. You got to get people's attention and everything. It's like, well, next time somebody comes in there and wants to open the borders up and say, maybe I better not go up there. They're going to leave me stranded on an island somewhere when they kick me back out.
I look at it and think, okay, maybe this is going to wind up being the issue that unhinges it, but it's definitely the issue that's got the most attention with the American public. It's right up. The economy and immigration are the two things that are driving the train in terms of, people's polling about how they feel about the state of our nation right now. And I don't know if you caught the part I had earlier, overwhelmingly saying they support Trump over Biden now for handling the border, which I guess makes sense, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is we're going to have to fast track some stuff. We're going to have to fast track the census, because if we start counting all these people on the next census for representatives, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several things we're going to have to do, and going to have, I don't know if you'd have to declare martial law to get out of the court, because the courts are going to fight you for years on this stuff. So it needs to be some kind of way where if you come in here illegally, you're going back, you do not get a court case, you do not, pass go, you do not collect your $200.
Or you at least can't wire it back to Mexico. But I agree with you. But here's the thing. I think it's going to have to be legislative action that makes it official, because the courts are going to find a way to turn over a executive order. But if Congress has acted and passed something and the president has signed it, which means we got to take back the House and the Senate. There's just no way around it. If we have Trump in the White House, but he can't get anything through the legislature, we're going to be doing this endless, death cycle for God knows how long. Hey, man, I got to move on. I got some other things I got to handle here. You be safe on the road, all right?
When I get there. Have a good one, Phil.
All right, see you, man. Russell from rural Route 1 again says, don't forget the ones that they're flying in. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Like up to 30,000 or more are being flown in. Like they're out there somewhere in Haiti or whatever else, and they start feeling bad for themselves, and they just decide, you know what, I'm going to get on that app and say, I need help, and they'll send a flight. Uber's coming to get you. Tyler from Huntsville says the IRS is coming after the little guy. They're threatening to levy my assets, he says, over $2,000 from 20. Wow. No, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Jeez, Pete. And then brand spanking new in the text line without a name. Oh, it's Randy from Florence. I'm sorry. He's already in there. You've already got his name plugged in. He says, for anyone who's indignant about how our government is acting, your classic rock song would be Who Made Who by AC/DC. Okay. Fair enough. Listen, I had a dipper I was about to start. I didn't get to it. I don't know if I'm going to get to it now. Big Rig, I'm going to blame this on you. Okay.
How's it my fault?
I won't blame it on you. I wouldn't do that to you. No, I just I don't know how in the world I can possibly get a dipper in when I come back from this break. Tell you what, let's take the break and I'll work it out. I've got a dipper called Jackassery, and it's got stuff in it, man. There's so much Jackassery out there right now. We'll see. But the bottom line is this. There's a lot of things worth talking about and not enough time in the day. I could do a 6-hour radio show. I'm pretty sure I'd be hoarse, but I don't know that I could possibly even contemplate the amount of jackassery that is out there even as we speak. You taking me to a break, brother? Are we about there? All right, let's do it. By the way, don't forget, we are on the eve of the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. It is tonight that the very first were going in, and the beaches were being filled the next morning. We'll talk about that some tomorrow. Just stand by for that one. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just making common sense like a superpower. Hey, one of the things that I love about this show is I get the biggest kick out of finding out people are listening. Sometimes they'll text in like y'all do all the time. And then like one of those right side ruffians out there is our former Congressman Mo Brooks from the 5th District of Alabama, who just texted me something about the whole thing about wiring money back to Mexico. Apparently, this is not an unheard of thing. I'd love to believe I was novel and unique in my approach, but apparently it's been talked about before. So on the line with us right now from the great state of Alabama is our own Mo Brooks. Hey, Mo, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. Love that right side T-shirt you sent my way. Wonderful.
Outstanding. Does it look good on you?
It looks good. Well, it'd look better if it was on a younger guy.
That's good for our image, man. Thank you so much. I'm proud to have you in the ruffian category.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, so
okay, to the remittances.
Go the remittances. So all this $55 billion plus going back to Mexico every year. We could strangle them with this, couldn't we?
Absolutely. It has been known for well over a decade that remittances is a leverage point that the United States has, both with illegal aliens who come into our country and take jobs for American citizens on the one hand, and the countries that benefit from these tens of billions of dollars a year in money drained from the American economy and sent to these nations south of the border. Because it would be effective in reducing the quantity of illegal aliens, or else helping to offset the cost of illegal aliens to the rest of America, the special interests that want that cheap foreign labor and prefer to hire that cheap foreign labor over struggling American families, they work behind the scenes to kill all remittance legislation. So nowadays you might get a showboat bill where it's a messaging bill where the bill is introduced to show people where you stand, but it's not going anywhere because money is the mother's milk of politics. It funds campaigns, and the congressmen and senators know that if they actually push this thing hard and get it passed, people who have sponsored or co-sponsored the bill are likely to generate a ton of money for their opponents in the next election, coming from these special interests that profit from cheap foreign labor. And that's kind of a best-case scenario. A little add-on to it, if they've been getting money from those cheap foreign labor special interests, it will most definitely be cut off. And then to a lesser degree, those that merely vote for it, they'll be in a similar boat, but the anger won't be as great directed towards them as it is to the ones who actually masterminded the passage of good, sound remittance policy legislation.
So yeah, and I you know what? I have no doubt. That is classic. When statesmanship goes out the door for politics. But let me ask you this, and I suspect the answer is probably not. Is it possible for a state legislature to put a prohibition against remittances coming out of their state? Now, granted, online banking is going to make that very difficult no matter what. But is it possible for that to be prohibited from the state level, like, say, if Texas Operation Lone Star wanted to do it?
It's certainly a possible approach that states can use, but to my knowledge, that has not been litigated yet because no state has done it. You'd have to worry about the Interstate Commerce Clause in the United States Constitution, and you also have to worry about the provisions in the Constitution that give the federal government almost, not entirely, almost carte blanche control over anything related to immigration and border security.
Well, then I come back down to the idea of, can a president issue an executive order, or if that matter, can the State Department issue a sanction of some type against banks who do business with those countries who do not assist us with deportations or whatever we have to do? There's a few angles that can go outside the legislative process, but even still, they're going to wind up being challenged.
Well, as with a lot of these issues, you don't know till you try, and if you don't try, it ain't ever going to happen.
You know what? You absolutely are going to miss 100% of the targets you don't shoot at. You're exactly right. All right. Well, listen, Mo, that was a great just random call in. Thank you for being a ruffian, and thanks for making a few minutes for us. All right.
My pleasure.
All right. Take care. Absolutely. You too. Congressman Mo Brooks, still out there doing the ruffian thing. And oh, by the way, absolutely has some history with this. He knows the deal. And oh, by the way, not only is he qualified to talk about it from experience alone, but he's also qualified to talk about it because he is an economist himself. Several text messages take us up to the top of the hour. And by the way, don't forget, we'll be coming back after the 4 o'clock break with the Grand Council with Dale Jackson and Jeff Poore. But yeah, Missy from Faultonville just says, delayed to determine, hang on a second, what'd she say? It says delayed to determine if she should be disqualified. What are we looking at here? Georgia Court of Appeals indefinitely pauses the election subversion conspiracy case against Donald Trump. What? That is a breaking news story? Are you kidding me? I need to go look this up. She's got it from CNN, though. Georgia Court of Appeals indefinitely pauses the Fannie Willis case. All right, now I got to break on over to, you're right. It is popping up right now on Fox News. Boy, this is breaking news. Wow. Thank you, Missy. Georgia court makes a major ruling on Fannie Willis's sweeping election case against Trump. This is huge. What do we have here? The Georgia Court of Appeals set a tentative date of October 4th to hear Trump's appeal to have DA Fannie Willis. So they are going to take this up in Georgia and see whether or not Fannie Willis can be disqualified. In a major setback to the Fulton County DA, the Georgia Court of Appeals on Wednesday put a pause on any proceedings related to the 2020 election interference case against Donald Trump and all 18 of the co-defendants, by the way, and ordered that the case will be heard in October. The appeals court has tentatively scheduled a hearing date of October 4th for the appeal by Trump and his co-defendants to have embattled Willis disqualified from the case. Y'all, that is massive. This entire debacle of lawfare is falling apart. I mean, I say that knowing full well they just got a conviction in New York. I feel certain it's going to go away on appeal. But now to see the other big one, the Fannie Willis case. Fannie Willis is a hero. Fannie Willis is a chucklehead, and Fannie Willis just basically got handed a big old turd sandwich and told she had to eat it. That's epic. All right, thank you for making that, bringing that to our attention. Missy from Faultville, first one to get me the breaking news there. John from Harvest says, Phil, speaking of military anniversaries, 57 years ago this week, Israel won the Six-Day War against the United Arab Nations. That's exactly right. It was a modern-day miracle. Many lessons that should not be forgotten were learned then. John in Harvest. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. John from Brownsboro says, so if you are number 2501 on Biden's executive order, if you get a free ride back over the bridge, walk a couple of miles, and hope to get caught sooner than tomorrow? Sounds like the DMV, he says. Yes, it does. I feel certain that probably a third of who we see are repeat offenders on the border. John from Huntsville says, Big Rig, I need more jackassery sound effects. He's just calling for it.
Isn't that coming next, though?
Well, it's not going to make it because we got Grand Council. So go ahead and hit me some jackassery right now. Can you do that? Is that possible? Just for John's benefit. There it is. There it is. All right, folks. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Coming up next, Grand Council, Jeff Poore, Dale Jackson, and little old me. We'll be right back. Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios, man. We got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 3 on Hump Day. Going to get you all the way to go home time today. But first, we got to do a thing called the Grand Council, where I bring in 2 of my brethren in talk radio, and we just ping each other with questions and see where the chips fall. So let me call the roll for the Grand Council. For Cumulus Broadcasting's 770 AM, 92.5 FM up yonder in Huntsville, also writes for Yellowhammer News and allegedly appears on multiple other stations around the state. Dale Jackson, are you indeed there?
What?
Outstanding. Stand at ease. All right. Coming from FM Talk 106.5 down yonder in Mobile, host of the Jeff Poor Show. Oh, by the way, he's also the editor-in-chief for 1819 News. Jeff Poor, are you there?
I am present.
You are indeed. Thank you, sir. I pronounce a quorum on the Grand Council. Big rig. Hit it.
Assemble the Grand Council.
Ta-da! All right, round 1, Grand Council. I'm going to go ahead and take the first question this time. Breaking news 5 minutes ago. You guys may have already seen it. Apparently, the Fannie Willis case where she indicted Trump and 18 others over in Fulton County, Georgia. The appellate court in Georgia just announced that they will take up the appeal as to whether or not she should have been removed from the case. And they will not set the date for the hearing on this until October, meaning this thing's going to move well past the election. However, here's my question. Fannie Willis could probably moot the whole thing just by stepping down from the case on her own and let the case proceed forward. My question to you is, do you think she would ever do that in a million years, Jeff?
No, it's all she's got going for her. This is make or break for her. This is why she ran on. There's no chance that's going to happen.
I would agree. I think it's a matter of pridefulness. I don't think she would do it purely on pride because then Trump wins in that regard. Dale, what say you?
Well, they already got him, right? So the whole is this where they get him? Well, they already got it. They got him in New York, so they don't really need this. So yeah, she can ride this out and say, I'll deal with this as it comes and not have to walk away from this and end her little game at getting Donald Trump. And it's a lot of people who are saying, like, look, I ran for office under the premise I'm going to get Donald Trump, so I'm going to ride this out.
I think so, too. I think she's got a book deal in her mind. I think she's planning on one day retiring from this and being a legal commentator for CNN or MSNBC or who knows. I really think that she's got some other kind of, lover boy on the side tryst she's going to take with the money she's going to make from all this. So I think the reality is she never steps down. I think she'll ride this thing all the way to the very end because it's also a matter of pride. And so there's that. All right, Jeff, what you got for us, man?
Factor mythology here that Trump's conviction is really going to help him make inroads into minority communities in America.
Fact or mythology? Is that what you asked?
That is what I asked.
Dale, you first.
It's racist, is what it is. I'll just call it what it is. It's a racist premise that black people will love me if I go to jail. It's just an insane racist mindset. It's also very stupid, but it is the conventional wisdom of this, which means it's wrong. Donald Trump will benefit because Joe Biden sucks. That's what Donald Trump is benefiting from. He's benefiting because his record is what it is, and Joe Biden's record is what it is. It's not black people like criminals, which sounds completely insane to say out loud, but that is the premise that they're going with. It's the same premise that says, I did prison reform. I let rappers out of jail. Black people should love me. Stop talking. Stop saying that stuff. It sounds insane.
It is insane, but that's the way they think. I mean, that's exactly the way they come at things. Everything to them is based on some of their intersectionalities. Which one do we have here? Oh, let's make it racism. Okay, racism today. Donald Trump.
I don't know, man. That's coming from the right, Phil.
Oh, well.
I mean, that stuff's coming from the right.
Yes. You think it's all coming from the right? I mean,
not all, but a vast majority of it.
The bottom line is I don't get it. I don't agree. I don't think it's going to be a race-based. Well, more black people are going to like Trump because he's been pressed down by the man. But I do believe there's a sentiment that's brewing because people in general are sick of seeing the lawfare that's been going on. I think that's playing.
That.
It's not just because Biden sucks. It's also because Biden sucks, and oh, by the way, they're persecuting Trump well beyond the norm. Jeff, your own question.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of hearing that. I find it just lazy, intellectually lazy. That's just gonna all of a sudden Trump's gonna really benefit any of this, guys. He's gonna benefit from this conviction because, the truth be told, he would rather not be dealing with this point in his life.
And I think the reality is, too, there's a lot of folks in the black community that are looking around and remembering when Joe Biden did the ridiculous stuff like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And some folks are actually waking up to the idea that, oh, you've been taking advantage of us. And, oh, by the way, you've been also taking us for granted for years. And how about this? We have minds of our own. I think some of that is also happening. Anyway. All right, Dale, what question you got for us?
One more thing. Also, gay is the new black, and Latino is the new black, and that the left focuses so much on that stuff. It's just it's very strange. I think it's off-putting to a lot of people. My question is this: and since we'll just do the Trump trifecta thing here. The Biden administration put out a press release today, worried that Donald Trump is stealing their ideas and is going to start putting his political enemies in jail, and the media is literally freaking out about this. They're on CNN. They just had fears that Trump will prosecute his enemies grow. It's like, guys, you can't do this. You can't say this stuff in this climate where we are right now and expect people to take it seriously.
Well, but this is what they do. I mean, it doesn't matter that he did an interview the other day and he said, no, he said, my definition of retaliation is success. I'm just going to beat them over the head with success. And I know, are there people that probably need to go to jail once the smoking guns have actually been found because we can't see them right now? Maybe. But he's not on some kind of campaign to go out there and, create some kind of purge, some pogrom where he's going to go through and start sweeping people out of governance and putting them in jail, unlike the January 6ers, many of whom still don't have their due process rights in place. Jeff?
Don't you wish they would, though?
Yes. Yes, I want them to.
Should Adam Schiff have to face some kind of criminality right now in the D.C. circuit for what he leaked to the media? I mean, should these guys that play this game and live and die by the sword, should they living by the sword, should they be dying by the sword too?
Yeah, but here's the bottom line. Adam Schiff, we could see penalties right now because we have a Republican majority in this. It may be small, but we have a Republican majority in the House. They can take punitive action, ethics reform.
They took him out the Intel committee for that. But I think it's criminal.
And he's running for Senate.
He's going to be a U.S. Senator, right? I mean, they need to, the lawfare. I mean, when Trump's president and we have a new attorney general, why wouldn't they go after this stuff to make sure it never happens again?
The first question that Donald Trump should ask every person who wants to be his attorney general, let's just say Phil Williams will be one of them, but he's interviewing him, and he says to him, you going to put the bad guys in jail? Yes, of course, Mr. President. Boom. There it is. That's it. Yeah, yes, they absolutely should be doing this.
So the bottom line is this. When I get interviewed, you guys are going to have to come with me because, I got to have a grand counsel to help me determine who goes to jail and who doesn't.
When you become AG, I'll come work for you.
Okay. I like it. I'll call you the enforcer. Jeff, what are you? The press guy? What are going to make you?
Oh, I'm going to turn on you. You're toast, man. You don't want this job.
You know what? I believe that, actually. All right, we're finishing up round one of the Grand Council. We're gonna come back momentarily for round two. That just flew by. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, with Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson, and just little old me. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Round 2 of the Grand Council with Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson. I think I had the first question, so I'll just take first question again. All right, so let's go the other direction. Is it lawfare that Hunter Biden is now on trial? And oh, by the way, is it going to matter in the big picture? You go first, Jeff. What do you think?
It's like lawfare, like when they set the fire or to stop a forest fire. If that makes sense. So, like, you build up a little fire line there to keep the fire from spreading, because what it is, the Hunter Biden's just a sacrificial lamb, but he'll get pardoned anyway after the election, win or lose for Biden. But it is in this very pivotal time for campaigns and elections that you have cover for the DOJ to do what they're doing to Trump by saying, "Well, hey, we're prosecuting the president's son," and this was like echoed on the Sunday shows. Go back and watch Tom Cotton and Peter Alexander on Meet the Press. This is what he said. This is what they believe, and this is what's going on.
I tell you what, I got thoughts, but Dale, you first. What you got?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, yes, they're going after him. And God, it seems brutal. Like, Hunter Biden is being used to prosecute Hunter Biden. They're using his own voice from his own book to lay out all the stuff he did. But yeah, it could possibly be just look. We know we're going to get a jury nullification here because it's in Delaware. He's a Biden. And damn it, that name means something. It usually means you're an a-hole, but in Delaware it might be okay.
Well, and so here's the thing that I think is missing in most of the discussions is the fact that apparently yesterday, and I've really not even been tracking this trial for the most part, to be honest with you, but apparently yesterday, the infamous laptop from hell was actually admitted into evidence and certified as being real. And yet, where was the FBI who has maintained this laptop all this time? Where were they when it was Russia collusion and the laptop was not real? And,
they were in on it.
It's exactly right.
Yeah,
they were content with the narrative to be that it wasn't real until they needed it to be real for prosecution. That just, I'll be honest with you, that pisses me off, and there needs to be some congressional investigation on that. Who's next? Jeff.
How about this? Tommy Tuberville on with my old boss Steve Bannon today, and I've seen this on a bunch of lefty websites saying that that look, guys, Putin doesn't want Ukraine. He just didn't want NATO or a U.S. presence there, so that's why he took the action he took. That the land's not as important to him as just a strategic advantage, because look, he's got a bunch of land as it is having Russia. What's wrong with that statement, if anything?
First of all, it was inartfully said. I mean, I have yet to find myself disagreeing with a policy position that Tuberville has espoused, but I don't think he's the best at describing this situation, because he gets himself in trouble by trying to say it, and he's not saying it well. Putin does want Ukraine. He absolutely wants Ukraine. In fact, Putin annexed all of the Crimean Peninsula in 2014, and that is part of Ukraine. He wants the land. He wants the warm water ports. He wants the nuclear power stations. He wants the physical assets. He wants the ability to have more farmland. And Ukraine brings all of that to the table, at least half of it. At the very least, yes, he wants to keep NATO out of Ukraine, but he also wants Ukraine. It's a given. Dale.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear he wants Ukraine. This is just nonsense. I don't know why Tuberville does this stuff and says it. I think that everyone knows Putin wants Ukraine. Yes, the other stuff's true too. But the real question should be, and this is what people should be saying, is, why do we really care? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if we're not going to go full bore to war to protect Ukraine, then we just have to let him take it. I mean, that's just the way it is. Otherwise, we are just continuing to inch our way towards more conflict. Now we're allowing Ukraine to use our weapons to bomb Russia. How long would we tolerate that?
So I'll be honest with you. I have lost some of the love for the fight in Ukraine, but at the very beginning, and I still say some of the sentiment is still real. I am of the mind that Putin can't win. I mean, but the Biden administration has no plan. We're not going to let you have F-16s. Okay, we'll let you have F-16s. We're not going to let you have Abrams tanks. Okay, we'll let you have Abrams tanks. But the reality is the Baltics were next, in my opinion, and then we're going to have a NATO connection, and it's going to be rough. And so the truth be told, put a freaking stop to it right now. choke the crap out of Russia with sanctions, make sure they understand the world around them is not going to stand for it. Poland's not going to stand for it. Germany's not going to stand for it. But right now, the Biden administration is leading the way by not leading the way. And so there's nothing there. All you can do is say we're throwing an empty checkbook at them or an open checkbook at them and getting nowhere with it. All right, next question. Dale, what do you got?
We're out of the legislative session a long way, but every couple of days you get a story from someone in state media telling you, oh, we're going to raise the sales tax next time. Oh, we're going to do ethics reform next time. Oh, we're going to do gambling next time. Oh, we're going to do Medicaid expansion next time. Shut up! That's not really a question. How about this? Shut up? Question mark?
Hey, let me add to that. Steve Flowers' column last week, speaking of state media, talking about raising the gas tax, that we should have raised it higher in 2019, and it probably wouldn't be bad if we went back and raised it even higher.
I guess Steve never met a tax he didn't like.
He's got to get that money.
Well,
get that University of Alabama money.
Yeah, well, that's what you need to know. Like, who's he working for now? He's Richard Shelby's retired. Who's paying him? Like, this is not organic thought here. This is coming from somewhere, I would think.
I think partly it's coming from the fact that they are recognizing that, oh, crap, if they're going to keep pushing the electric vehicles, then people aren't going to be going to the pump and paying us money to build more roads. So what do we do? But the other piece of this is, I think Steve Flowers is almost becoming irrelevant in terms of what he writes.
Almost?
No. The lawmakers, I don't know why. I can't explain it.
Same with Kyle
lawmakers read him. Yes, these guys at AL.com. But the thing is, the gas tax would have been enough if they hadn't made it a giveaway to the counties and the municipalities. It turned out to be like this giant wealth redistribution program.
Well, and here's the other piece of this too. In terms of the media needing something, there's like an addiction. They're trying to find the way to satisfy the crack deficiency in their life right now by getting one more story out of legislative processes that, a speculation of the things that could pass into legislative process next year. They're just so used to feeding on it for the last 4 months that they don't know what to do now, and they didn't get their gambling bill, so there's nothing else to talk about.
I just want to know why outlets, including the ones we work for, run this guy. I mean, and Jeff, you've been in the editor position. Do you get an email from him every week or something? Can you please run my stuff? And you go, fine, Steve. Is that how it works?
No, I don't. We don't run Steve Flowers at 1819.
Why in the world is anyone running this garbage?
In fact, as soon as I took the 1819 job, they were like, you need to stop having that guy on your radio show.
So now we know.
The funny thing is no one listening knows who the hell this even is.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I just realized I haven't been on Jeff's show in a long time, and now I'm getting really suspicious.
We'll let you know.
Come on.
No, don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah, I see how it works now. Okay. All right. Listen, guys, appreciate you very much. The Grand Council with Jeff Poore from FM Talk 1065, 1819 News, Dale Jackson from WVNN, Cumulus Broadcasting out of Huntsville, and oh, by the way, for Yellowhammer News, where they run Steve Flowers sometimes. Yep, all that and the Grand Council is with me. All right, we're taking a break right now. We're coming right back, and I got to decide, is it going to be jackassery or birth control politics? Which one do I do? I'll let you know when we get back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. I mean, like covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. I'm saying Alabama. And this show is like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. All right, so let me just suggest something to you. I'm about to tell you how to get something for free. All right, so stand by for that. It's coming here 1 second. But let me pause here before I give you the free idea and give you this whole big thing to think about. So this is a crazy world, right? It is. And you're working hard to plan for your future, stand up for your beliefs all at the same time. But what if you found out, y'all, what if you found out that what you're investing in is actually going to things that are contrary to what you believe in? And that happens a lot, by the way. Well, maybe it's time for you guys to meet Paul Breyer and his team of PhDs and financial experts over at Inspire Advisors. Inspire Advisors. Look, I'm talking about financial planning that considers who you are and what you believe in, as well as your bottom line. So these are solid local experts using biblically responsible investing, data-driven strategies to maximize your returns, and they do it in a way, by the way, that has a real impact on, yes, your bottom line, but also the world in which you live. This is what I would call like really financial freedom. So if you want to know more about what's in your portfolio, here's the free thing. You ready? If you want to know more about your portfolio right now, check things out. Go get a free impact report on their website right now. You can get a free impact report. Find out how your investments really look. Go to www.moneypatternwealth.com. That's moneypatternwealth.com. That's Inspire Advisors at moneypatternwealth.com. You can also find them on our website, rightsideradio.org. Go to our sponsor page. You can click on their logo. It takes you straight to their website. So yeah, investments that are done conservative, godly, and balanced. That's financial freedom, you guys. Inspire Advisors at moneypatternwealth.com. All right, the results are in. I've got a few texts that are just telling me. Like Glenn from Blunsville that says, jackassery, please. I did not get enough of it at work today. All right, and then Jeff from Indiana says, absolutely jackassery. Anyway, I see what you did, Jeff. And then Metal Man Josh from Elkmont wants to know how Dale is not a Democrat. Because he's not. He's just not. All right, listen, we're going to kick off some jackassery right now. So listen, jackassery comes in a variety of forms, but typically is part of the lexicon of Rightside Radio, all right? We have terms and things that y'all are used to. We have people called Rightside ruffians. Y'all know what that is. We talk about kakistocracy. Y'all know what that is. And then one of the terms that we use most often on this show, jackassery. Jackassery is those decisions that are made by someone in authority, usually in government, that when you see the results, you look at it and go, you're a jackass not to see how that was going to work out. How about this? Jackassery is where we are. Here's one for you. Classic. JustTheNews.com. Are you ready for this? Did you recall, oh, by the way, that in California, oh, Phil, is it California? Yes. In California, they just recently passed into law, with great fanfare of all the wonderful things it was going to do for their economy, that fast food workers are now at $20 an hour. Minimum wage, fast food workers, $20 an hour, unless they work in a place that also sells bread and rolls or donuts, meaning like Krispy Kreme doesn't count, Panera Bread doesn't count. Oh, wait, didn't the Panera Bread guy give a lot of money to Gavin Newsom's campaign? I think so. But nonetheless, most fast food is like paying through the nose right now to have anybody to work. And they are just loving it, man, loving it, except that they're losing jobs left and right. You had an entire pizza chain that did away with all their deliveries. No more deliveries. You want pizza, you can call Uber Eats. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. They're not delivering anymore because they can't afford it. $20 an hour, they had to cut costs somewhere. They decided it was either cut the food itself or just cut the people who deliver. Well, I want to say 1,500 people lost their jobs. How about this? Story on justthenews.com, Dateline yesterday. San Diego-based Mexican fast food chain Rubio's Coastal Grill. Now, I lived in California when I was young for a period of time, but I do not recall Rubio's. But get this. It's apparently a pretty good-sized chain. It's regional. We don't see it here. But they are closing down 48 locations. 48 locations. Y'all, in Alabama, there's only 67 counties. That's like saying one in every town just about. But 48 locations. Why? Well, you can guess why. They said because of the rising cost of doing business. What does that mean? $20 an hour because the jackassery got hold? It's going to be a wonderful thing. It's going to be great. We're going to make everybody else rich. All you have to do is just have a career flipping burgers and you can do everything. Rubio's Coastal Grill, after a thorough review of its operations and the current business climate, they say, has decided to close 48 underperforming locations in California as of May 31st. They've got 86 other stores they're going to keep open in places like some in California, but also in Arizona and Nevada. California's $20 per hour fast food minimum wage took effect on April 1st. It is already blamed for 9,500 lost jobs by the end of the first month. 9,500 lost jobs in 1 month, representing a 1.3% decrease since September 23. They're just literally hemorrhaging people out there. Can I have me some big old jackassery for California's minimum wage crushing jobs? Just helping the little man, taking care of business, jackassery. How about this? Our own Alabama Attorney General is on it again. Attorney General Steve Marshall, according to 1819 News, story that broke yesterday, has now joined a coalition of 22 other states pressuring the Biden administration to not follow through on new regulations regarding, wait for it, stoves and ovens. Why are we majoring in the minors? Stoves and ovens. Listen, I got news. Just about 4 years ago, I was finally able to build Charlene our dream house, right? We love it. We love being there. First time in our 30-some-odd, we've been married 37 and a half years right now. At that point, I guess it'd be 33 and a half when we built the house. But first time we'd ever had a gas stove. You're going to pry it out of our cold, dead fingers is what I'm saying. Come and get my gas stove. It ain't going to happen. But yeah, the Biden administration, they didn't go through the usual process. They used what's called a little-used procedure, according to the article in 1819, called the direct final rule. What does that mean? Direct final rule means because we said so and we're not going to take any input. That's what that means. A federal agency can use that direct final rule to bypass the normal processes of receiving comment and critique before finalizing a rule that affects everybody. Everybody.
Kevin?
And so all I'm saying is this.
Okay, what's your question?
Steve Marshall is on it right now, pressuring the Biden administration once again because we've got a layer of jackassery that has just come into effect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Big Rig is able to answer the phones, talk to people, and press the jackassery button all at one time. John from Huntsville, I hope you're taking note. Big Rig is on it right now. Here's one for you. That falls not only in the category of jackassery, but how about could have fallen into woke world, could have fallen into any number of categories that you look at and go, no. And this one that comes from New York. Fox News, story that broke this morning. Fox News. A New York State school district is now apologizing for using what it calls exclusionary language. Exclusionary language? How about this? They were hosting a summit and white kids couldn't come. A public school district. How about this? I don't care if it's a private school. How about this? I don't care if it's a club. I mean, do you remember when the Augusta Nationals, there was some talk about the country club there? Did it still allow black people? Is it okay for, Tiger Woods to play there? Remember all that? I mean, so how do liberals do this? How do they sleep at night? But a New York State school district, according to Fox News Dateline Today, apologized for using what it calls exclusionary language to promote an event for students of color after an anti-affirmative action group basically busted them. They got outed. They were running something called the Students of Color Summit and made it very clear when they sent out the invitation that white kids were not invited. That's not the way this works, y'all. And did you think for a second that no one was going to notice the level of jackassery that goes into a decision that tells an entire segment of the population of your school district, we're going to do a thing and you can't come? Why? Oh, because of your skin color. I'm sorry. That's called jackassery. Just saying. I got a phone call right now. I'll take a quick phone call if it's on topic. Kevin from Coleman. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Phil. How you doing, man? I love your show.
Thanks, buddy.
Keep up the good work, and man, these guys got to be blind. But I got a question for you.
All right.
If you said, and I don't know all the parameters, but if they sell donuts or bread, right, they don't have to get paid at $20 an hour.
That's my recollection.
Well,
yeah.
Isn't a hamburger served on bread?
I'm thinking.
Isn't pizza served on bread?
I'm thinking.
I mean,
I'd be fighting it, man.
I mean, I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, come on.
If you're putting that hoagie on a roll, I'm saying you get exclusions. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I'm thinking. So I thought I'd just get your take on that.
Jack's Biscuit. I'm saying they serve a roll. What's the big deal?
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Thank
all
you.
right, buddy.
Appreciate
Keep
you,
it
Kevin.
good. Thank you.
Perfect
All right.
timing. We'll take that all the way to the break. Play me some jackassery and then head to a break there, Big Rig. That's just... Listen, when we get back, if I can get to it, I'll just tell you about what happens when you open up the voter rolls for, mailing ballots out, and then you find out that there's people in prison that are applying for their ballots. It just goes on and on. Bill Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just mean, like, man, making common sense like a superpower, giving you all of the truth you can put on a bumper sticker. So I've got some more jackassery for you. Like, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed, this is an election year. I know that's breaking news for some of you, but it's true. Election year. And whereas in most states, like Alabama, we are doing all that we can to tighten up our election laws, make sure election integrity is, given the utmost of consideration, legislatively, executive branch, all of it. Why? Because we care. You're finding other states that are like saying, hey, let's make it worse. I mean, like as a matter of official policy, let's just make it worse. What can we do to screw things up a little more? State of Nevada, for instance. I mean, they're already rolling the dice enough in Nevada. Why stop there? Let's go ahead and just say, hey, what about, I don't know, how about we expand voting by mail? Really? Yeah, that'll be awesome. We'll do expansion of voter by mail, make it easier for everybody to, get their ballot in their mailbox, and then even when they didn't ask for it, we'll just take care of it. It'll be fine. Until you begin to start doing some investigation. So the Public Interest Legal Foundation decided to do some checking. And they got hold of the registry voter rolls for the state of Nevada. And they began to find that, some of the requests for ballots are being requested from places like casinos, strip clubs, fast food restaurants, even prisons. And they went ahead and they did some investigation, and they found a massive amount of what you would have to determine would be fraud. But when you've got the open door, when you've got the Pandora's box, when you say, hey, we're going to go ahead and loosen all of the requirements for what it takes to be able to vote in our state, guess what? People will take advantage of that. Like you couldn't see this coming. I mean, maybe this is just a massive piece of jackassery. What do you think about that? Big Rig, you going to wake up over there and hit me some jackassery? Give me some jackassery. Like right now, jackassery all the way. Like make it loud, jackassery. In fact, I think push that one twice because it's about election integrity. Just saying. Thank you. Thank you very much. Last one I've got. I've got several, but I'm gonna go with. Do I want this one or? Yeah, I do. I don't know about y'all, but Charlene and I, we typically like find a show and then we just kind of stay with it for a while. Like if you find that it's on Netflix or you find it's on, Prime or something, and the greatest thing for us, I mean, first of all, Blue Bloods, in my opinion, is still the best TV show ever made. Argue with me if you want to, but I think so. But a real close second now is Chicago Fire for us. Love that show. And yes, I realize it's got some things here, there, and no spoilers, please, because we're only in season 7. We were stoked to find out that there's like 13 seasons. We're like, this is great. So we've just been slowly working our way through all the back seasons of Chicago Fire. As a result, I'll be honest with you, I've become pretty fond of Chicago, and I've only been there a few times, but I'm watching this show and I'm like, I'm loving it. It's like, this is salt of the earth people.
Is that the show with Kevin Bacon?
No.
Oh.
Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, I thought there was some fire.
Okay, if he comes in later, then I'm going to call you a spoiler because you told me that and I didn't know it was coming. He has not been there yet. It could be, though. But here's the thing. Chicago is in what they're calling a doom loop right now. A doom loop. That is not good. San Francisco, they refer to it as a death spiral. But a doom loop. So the mayor is Brandon Johnson, who is the most liberal hack I've ever seen. He used to work for the teachers union. That's what his job was. When he first got elected, it was in the wake of the George Floyd riots, and he was personally calling for defunding the police, to redirect funds from policing and incarceration to public services. What has happened since then? Crime has skyrocketed. So yeah, they cut 614 positions now. Recognize they've got 14,000 law enforcement officers, but still, they just cut it by, a pretty healthy percentage. Was that 5%? They just cut a chunk of their law enforcement capability. But what that does is it also creates a massive, a spin down effect, because then there are those who want to retire early because they're tired of dealing with it. And then there's those who don't want to get the job they would have applied for otherwise. And so it has massive effects well beyond just laying off. The city reported a 30% increase in crime in 2022 as a result. They have seen a slight decrease in homicides, which is great, but property crimes have gone through the roof, 44% increase. Violent crime was definitely up. 2023, very similar. Robberies were up about 40% from the prior year. Aggravated battery and assault also up. So now what? What are they going to do? Well, they're going to spend $1 million on a report to tell them how they can fix their staffing problems with the police department. Here's an idea. Get their backs and don't defund them. Because that's what happens. If that's not jackassery, I don't know what is. There you have it. Jackassery. Decisions made by people in elected authority that have no bearing on reality, and they can't explain the results once they happen. All right, you guys are an amazing audience. I got the grades in, by the way. Let me see where they went. I just saw them. Jeff, Phil, and Dale Jackson. I'll get a B-. Really? One of those rare times where I disagree with most of what they said during the Grand Council segment. Really? Which means Big Rig wins with an A++.
Yes.
He says, congratulations and good luck tomorrow, because winning 3 times in a row is not only rare, but it's a huge accomplishment. Also, I just want to say, I think Dale Jackson was born on another planet. John from Huntsville. I don't know what we possibly could have said you disagreed with, John. Now I'm concerned for your welfare, and I think we need to have a welfare check just to make sure you're okay.
So I won 3 days in a row?
Did you? I thought I won yesterday.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
I just see. It's not really John. Someone got his phone, and they're texting in his. That's what happened. In fact, I'm pretty sure what that really was that was probably Jeff Poore texting in on John's phone. That's what I think happened.
Maybe.
All right, you guys have an amazing night. We're back here tomorrow. And oh, by the way, tonight is Night of Nights. 80 years, D-Day kicks off at midnight tonight. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all have a great night.